Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Thank you very much to PPS Northern Luzon chapter for this opportunity to speak in this virtual webinar. This is my disclosure, and this is my disclaimer. So I am a child neurologist who always volunteers on giving lectures about health and fitness. And I enjoy sharing my personal journey on health and fitness with family, friends, before pandemic, and during pandemic, even in social media. So the COVID-19 pandemic has caused a lot of changes in our daily lives. We are socially distant, we stay at the home, and it can be easy to slip into unhealthy eating habits during this stay at home all period. But with a little thought and preparation, maintaining a healthy diet doesn't really have to be a chore. Good nutrition has always been important before pandemic, during the pandemic, and even after the pandemic, because this, with a well-balanced diet of nutritious food, this helps support a strong immune system, and it's our shield against the COVID-19 pandemic. So in your mind, what do you think are the components of being healthy? Is it A, good nutrition, exercise, and social life? Is it B, sleep, rest, and recreation? C, being non-smoker? Or is it A and C, or a combination of all of the above? So you are right. The answer is all of the above. So in preparing for this lecture, my resident gave me an ebook for a gift, which I use in this lecture, and it's entitled How to Be Well, the 6 Keys to Being Happy and Having a Healthy Life. So the 6 keys, according to the author, is nutrition, connect, protect, unwind, sleep, and move. So we'll be tackling these topics in the next few slides. That's why my lecture is divided into 2 parts. Half of the time will be dedicated to nutrition of the adult and the pediatric age group. And the part 2 will just walk through the 5 other keys of wellness. So most deaths are preventable, and 7 out of 10 is secondary to non-communicable disease and related to what we eat before the pandemic. And even after, during this time of pandemic, still remains to be non-communicable and related to what we eat. So during med school, I was recalling if I had a subject on nutrition. And I think it was incorporated in all of the subjects, but not a specific nutrition subject. And 25% of med schools in the US only offers nutrition as a subject during their med school. So it's good to know that now in the med school, this is now a subject, according to my nephew. And I think it's important that in order to have a healthy and happy life, we should start teaching good nutrition as early during childhood, newborn childhood, which they can carry throughout all ages, so that when we age, we will still remain healthy and active. In our toolbox as physicians or clinicians is the power of food. And hopefully in the future, the vision of Thomas Edison that the future doctor will no longer prescribe medicines, but start to treat and heal patients and diseases with the prescription of nutrition. So let's start them young. So early food experience of a child is critical to health. So as health practitioners, we should know when is the right time to introduce food, what is the appropriate type of solid foods that we should give, and maybe thirdly, and the most important, is teach them young in developing healthy eating habits. I cannot overemphasize the fact that breastfeeding is really the best feeding up to 18 months of age. So let's go first to timing. According to WHO and the American Academy of Pediatrics, the best time to start introducing complementary feeding is at 6 months of age. But before you do that, please look for developmental signs that your child is ready to feed. So what are these signs? One is that they are able to sit upright with support, hold their head upright, and there are oral motor skills showing interest of food. So if they open their mouth and lean forward, then they are showing interest on food. If it's too early or too late, then there are possible complications. If it's too early, then choking problems or risk of obesity. And if it's too late, then we might introduce micronutrient deficiencies for this child or develop allergies or develop poor eating habit. In introducing food, it is important that you should start with small servings. So 1 to 2 tablespoons once a day, and then progress to 1 to 2 tablespoons 2 times a day. And at 1-year-old, then you could introduce 2 to 4 tablespoons per day. Now, it is important to remember that you should introduce food one item at a time with interval of 3 to 5 days so that you have enough time to monitor allergic reactions or intolerance. So these children should chew and swallow, and you should progress in the 4 stages of food from smooth to mashed, chopped, to small pieces of food. Okay? All food groups should have been introduced at 7 to 8 months of age. Okay? Food variety should increase over time as the child ages. And if you're experiencing food neophobia, meaning the child doesn't like to eat new food, then don't despair. You could always introduce this up to 8 to 10 times. Okay? Important also in introducing solid food is the terminology baby-led weaning equivalent to adult-led spoon feeding. So at this age group, babies usually want to be independent. So okay lang na magkalat sila dyan sa table or madumihan ng kanilang mga kamay. So give them finger foods where they can hold and eat by themselves. Important too is you should establish routine meal times. Kung kailan ang breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And at the same time, avoid distractions. So no tablet, no cell phones while eating. Meal times should not be rushed. So use eating as a time to be together and be a role model so that the child can mimic your behavior on the type of food that you're eating. So, bata pa lang ako, lagi kong naririnig, sinasabi ng nanay ko, ubusin mo yung pagkain mo kasi ang daming hindi kumakain sa mundo. When in fact, we should avoid force feeding. So if you want your child to finish their foods, so you could add flavor, pasarapin lalo yung pagkain or make it more attractive. Okay? Caution sa paggamit ng microwave. So biktima ako niyan, nag-microwave, kinain ko agad, napaso ako. So yon po. And I cannot overemphasize that we are preparing for food. So dapat malinis po ang kamay na nagpre-prepare. So what are the foods that we should avoid? Honey, dahil maaari tayo mag-introduce ng infant botulism. Junk foods. So alam natin na this has no nutritional value. And third is cow's milk because you might induce GI bleeding or cause iron deficiency anemia. Also important is for us to avoid food na possible potential choking sa mga bata tulad ng sausage, popcorn, nuts, candy, grapes, gum, seeds, raw carrots, and apples. Okay? The third, I think, is the most important is instilling healthy eating patterns. So kung bata pa lang sila, natuturuan na natin sila ng tama, dadalhin nila ito hanggang paglaki nila and hanggang tumanda ng tamang way ng pagkain at kung anong dapat kainin. So at 1 year of age, usually independent na ito hanggang toddler age group. They start using utensils, so you can start weaning them from using the bottle. Okay. Remember, yung first year of life is the rapid growth rate. That's why infants eat a lot. But during the toddler age group, nagsislow ang kanilang growth rate. Nag-iiba ang kanilang calorie and nutrient requirement. And it's also this time that you experience problems with the toddlers. So picky eater sila, ayaw nilang kumain, konting kumain. Dito na sila nagde-develop ng healthy food preferences. So may patient ako, lagi lang gustong kainin itlog at hotdog. Or pag nag-introduce ka ng bagong pagkain, ayaw nilang kainin. Okay? The best way a parent approaches their child in terms of feeding is the pattern or the feeding style. So this would significantly influence your dietary, behavior, and health outcomes. So parents need to know how to shape good nutrition in early childhood. So my question is, anong klase ba kayong parent? Are you the authoritative type, permissive type, authoritarian, uninvolved type? So pag sinabi nating authoritative type, so ang benefit nito, you eat more healthy, lessen ang unhealthy foods. So you promote good nutrition. But if you're the authoritarian type, then unhealthy feeding is increased and emotional disturbance is associated. But if you are the permissive or the uninvolved type, then pwede mag-develop yung child ng unhealthy eating habit and prone ang kids to obesity or overweight. So ang tanong ko, anong klaseng feeding pattern or feeding style ang ginagawa nyo sa inyong anak? Okay. So another tip is, since we are responsible in preparing the food of our children or our mga bata sa bahay, so choose sana yung healthy food na isa-serve natin. And let's limit the use of salt and sugar. Also is that we should be able to understand appropriate serving sizes. So kung tayong adult, full ang eating natin, ang toddlers, half lang ng adult. And since they are in the stage na picky eaters sila, important that we should give them more small and frequent feedings, so 5 to 6 times in a day. Another aspect is the division of responsibility in feeding. So there's the caregiver responsibility versus the child responsibility. So pag caregiver responsibility, tayo ang responsible ng what, when, and where kakain ng bata. While child responsibility is whether they're going to eat, yes or no, and how much. Away kayong mag-asawa during the time na kumakain kayo. Okay? So, make food easy for the children. So, kung kailangan mong i-modify ito, pasarapin, ibahin yung itsura para maengganyo silang lalong kakain. Avoid food na matitigas para hindi mahirapang magmuya. And always supervise the child while they are eating. Okay? Keep the child seated while eating para ma-avoid natin yung problems like choking. So other general healthy tips is only offer food in response to physical hunger and not to good behavior. So for example, sa clinic, sasabihin ng nanay, sige na, magpabakuna ka na. After nito, re-rewardan kita ng Jollibee. So hindi po yun tama. So dapat dahil gutom, kaya mo siya bibigyan ng pagkain. Okay? Food should be associated only with hunger, and every time na maiisip na bata ang food, dapat family socialization ang nasa isip niya. Okay? How about the special group, the picky eaters or the toddler age group kung saan maraming may ganitong problema? Okay? Pumupunta sa clinic nyo, mahinang kumain, doktora, ano po ba yung dapat? No? So, picky eaters consume low variety of food. So, nire-reject nila, hindi lang yung gusto nilang dati, pati yung mga bagong food. I-avoid nating i-pressure sila na, kumain ka, kung hindi kita bibilan ng ganito. Parang ganun. So let's continue to introduce and offer sa mga picky eaters small servings ng new or yung mga ayaw nila na food together with dati na nilang gustong food or bagong food kasabay ang dati na nilang gustong pagkain. Okay? So also, huwag kalimutan, nabanggit ko kanina, structured meal time. Pareho dapat yung kinakain ng bata sa family member. So, hindi pwedeng Jollibee yung bata, tas tayo yung regular food. And as I mentioned earlier, tayo ang role model ng mga bata kung ano yung dapat na healthy na kakainin. And it's also a time to bond with them. So, paano natin ipopromote ang hunger? Siyempre, limit natin yung snacks and drinks in between meals. Now, for picky eaters, how about the use of supplements? So supplements should only be considered if the child's diet is deemed nutritionally inadequate or kulang. And appetite stimulants should not be routinely recommended in a child who is thriving well. So in your mind, ano ba yung pinakamarami nyong nireseta or in-advise na appetite stimulant? Multivitamins with buclicin ba? Folic acid ba? Dibencoside ba? O multivitamins with lysine? Or any of the above? Or hindi kayo nagre-reseta ng appetite stimulant? Okay? So I like this journal wherein it tells us that if ever we will offer or prescribe supplements to children, these supplements should be beneficial. At the same time, there should be evidence of its scientific efficacy and safety. So these are some of the supplements most commonly prescribed. So multivitamins with buclicin. So for more than 22 years, wala pa rin akong nakitang scientific journal testing to its effectiveness as an appetite stimulant. And in 2018, in a Ment newspaper, I think there's a plan that they're going to remove buclicin in the market. How about lysine? So lysine is an essential amino acid which has a lot of health benefits, not only for our immune system, our metabolism, our cardiovascular system, and it naturally improves appetite in a natural way. How about folic acid? So folic acid is a metabolic activator that has an influence on our neurohormones, leptin and ghrelin. So if you give folic acid, it will increase our neurohormones, ghrelin, and at the same time, its effect is increasing the appetite of children. So if your child is lysine or folic acid deficient, your child will definitely have a low appetite, and supplementing them with lysine or folic acid would have a positive effect of increased appetite. Now, there was a recent journal published on the use of folic acid together with methylphenidate on ADHD. So we all know that methylphenidate has a side effect of decreased appetite. So there were two groups with folic acid and without folic acid. So in this study, they found out that with the use of methylphenidate and folic acid, it increased the appetite of children diagnosed with ADHD as compared to those with methylphenidate and placebo alone. Other supplements is the use of pizotifen. So pizotifen is anti-migraine, and it is being used for its side effect of supposedly increasing the appetite. But two studies have been published, and it didn't show any correlation on the dosage of pizotifen with concomitant increase in weight gain. How about dibencoside? So dibencoside is the most active metabolite of vitamin B12, and it is useful in increasing protein complexes. So bigger protein complexes, you have better weight gain. And this is for all age groups, for the premature, the low birth weight, for children and adults, not only for appetite stimulation and weight gain, but it can also be used in convalescent or recovery of chronic illnesses and adjunct treatment. Now, what are the evidences? So I was able to gather 4 journals, and it is done in 4 major institutions in Northern Luzon from premature, okay, for prematurity, less than 31 weeks, 35 weeks AOG for children below 5, for children 6 years old up to adolescent, and for both children with normal intellect and those neurologically challenged. And what is the common findings of these 4 researches? So the bencoside is effective and safe in augmenting weight gain by increasing the appetite of these children who were given the bencoside. So it is available in 1 milligram and 3 milligram. For the researchers, you can check Herdin Plus for the full articles, or you can email me for the full article of my research. Now we're into adolescent and adult nutrition. So interesting is the book that I read, How Not to Die by Dr. Gregor. So the book came about because his grandma was medically given a death sentence at 65 because of cardiovascular disease. So wala nang magagawa yung mga doktor, uwi na lang po. But si Lola, she still at age 65 went into healthy diet and lifestyle changes. And surprisingly, or good thing, nadagdagan ng buhay ng 31 more years. And 31 years matters because she was able to see her grandson finish med school and eventually become a doctor. So what are the 7 simple factors that needs to be modified for us for us not to die early? That is, not to smoke and not to be overweight. We should be active. We should eat healthy. You should maintain normal BP, blood sugar, and cholesterol. So this book, How Not to Die, I'm not selling. Okay, basically tackles about arresting and reversing our leading killers such as heart disease, brain disease, lung disease, using nutrition. As I mentioned earlier, the 7 out of 10 of our diseases are related to what we eat. So most deaths are preventable and related to what we eat. So if 4 out of the 7 factors you are able to modify, because these factors, the 4, already contribute to 78% of the chronic disease risk. Okay? Now, if you are able to modify that, then you are reducing your risk of having a disease. Okay, of 90% reduced risk of having diabetes. And at the same time, 80% decreased risk of a heart attack, 50% decreased risk of stroke, and 1/3 decrease in the risk of your overall cancer disease. Okay. Now, maybe it's high time for us not to blame our genes kasi namana and concentrate on the 70% that we are able to control. And that is cardinal lifestyle behaviors, feeding changes that would impact our mortality. So I mentioned earlier, if we don't smoke, if we're not overweight, If we devote time to exercise and we eat healthy, then the risk of dying is reduced. So one of the three factors reduce 40% dying, two out of the three, 50% reduction of dying. And if three out of three, you have 80% reduced risk of dying. So check yourself about these 7 simple factors. Ilan ang na-meet po ninyo? So general tips is we should compose our perfect plate. If you're always counting your calories in order to stay healthy, give yourself a break. Okay. Yung perfect plate po is a visual platter pie chart, and 50 to 70% is composed of vegetables, and a pound is protein, and konti lang ng fat. And the most important and proven unifying diet best to prevent and treat many diseases is the whole food plant-based diet. It is an eating pattern that discourages unrefined plant foods and discourages dietary products, eggs, and processed foods. So sugar is a public health enemy number 1. It is the worst toxin we expose ourselves every day. So we have heard 100 times that junk foods, processed foods, no? So these are a cocktail of hidden sugars, chemical colorants, preservatives that are palatable and cheap. However, these foods trigger inflammation that leads to brain fog, disrupting hormonal balance and degrading our microbiome. And if there's one thing that we should start doing is start to transform our state of well-being. It's consuming around 2/3 of vegetables of our food intake. So I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan, but I'm into transition. I'm just practically trying to tell you that it is in our hands to choose which is the thing that we like more. Okay. Other general tips, okay, the more you can get in the groove with cooking at home, the more that you will eat healthy. But if you don't cook much like me, then just keep it simple. Okay. No matter what size your dinner is, finish eating 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. At night, your body clock stops triggering active and productive hormones. So your temperature falls and your metabolism slows down. In short, your physiology winds down in sync with the day. So sleep doesn't need excess calories. So adding excess fuels late at night can generate excessive free radicals that will damage tissues, promote aging, and contribute to chronic diseases. Okay. So practice eating mindfully. So slow down, sit down, breathe. Tingnan nyo yung pagkain nyo, color, shape, amuyin, i-bless nyo siya, tikman. Kumain ang dahan-dahan. Tikman nyo, namnamin nyo yung pagkain nyo, then inom ng konting tubig. Patuloy na tikman ng kasarapan. Ngayon, halfway, tanungin mo sarili mo, gutom pa ba ako? Kung 80% busog ka na, then timigil ka na. And notice how you feel. Okay? So, eat the right foods. They will send instructions to your genes for good health. Eat the wrong foods, magsisend to ng messages for disease. So these are just nice books to read, ebooks, and check out nutritionfacts.org for healthy living. So aside from the nutrition, so tatapos na natin yon. Let's just walk through the other 5 keys. So one is connect. So if you have a pile of work, hindi ka pa naglalaba, or clutter ang office mo or ang bahay mo, then for sure clutter din ang utak mo. So just clear your mind. 2 tips on unwinding. So 1, pagkising mo sa umaga, punta ka sa mirror, smile, breathe, and commit that you will see all the good throughout the day. Ngayon, bago ka naman matulog, mention 3 things that you are grateful for. Anong mga good things and bad things na nag-happen? Then let it go. Tomorrow is another day. So just always remember, huwag ka mag-guilty kung magpapahinga ka. Remember that when you forgive, you heal, and when you let go, you grow. So smile, tumawa, repeat. Second is connect. I can give you a 30 more minute lecture on the benefits of pet. Okay? Precise na importante lang matandaan natin na having a pet gives multi-dimensional health boosting effects. Okay? Another under connect is random acts of kindness. So mag-thank you ka sa residente mo sa referral niya. Mag-thank you ka sa IW. Okay? Go wild or at least get outside. So kung may pagkakataon at pwede na, then nature therapy. Okay? Invest in friendship. Okay? It has been said that genuine and lasting friendship are key part of a fulfilling life. And improves our health and increase longevity by boosting optimism and connection. So trusting someone that she has your back in good and bad times, so helps you live longer, and it's never too late to make new friends. Another is protect. Okay? So naka-maintenance meds ka ba? Don't stop just because you're feeling better or dahil feeling mo, alam mo, ang katawan mo. Clean eating, clean sheets, so free yourself, free your food from toxins. Soak up some sun. So the sun is as important as food and water. So get out and get vitamin D. In a perfect world, hindi natin kailangan ng supplements, but in this time of pandemic, then it would help us if we can use supplements, but these supplements should be using best ingredients and free of harmful ingredients. So check out labdoor.com for supplements that chine-check nila yung safety and efficacy. So next is, fourth is prioritize sleep. So lack of sleep can make you look older, so prone to diseases. Kung chronic poor sleeper ka, then risk of diabetes. So 4 decades ago, we were sleeping 2 hours less now. So we are activating inflammatory markers to appear and cancer-fighting molecules are reduced. So don't sacrifice sleep dahil gusto mo mag-gym. Kung pagod ka na, matulog ka na. And don't stay up late because of social media. So what is a healthy sleep? So a good sleep is a result of a dance between quality and quantity and timing. So it should be uninterrupted, so in sync with your body clock. Hindi pwedeng gising ka sa gabi and tulog sa araw. And sufficient. So according to the American Sleep Association, so these are the recommended sleeping time for children and for adults. How to help you get enough sleep? Anong tips? So establish a bedtime routine. So dapat consistent to. So 30 minutes before, put down or put off all the screen time or yung cellphone, tablet. So hanggat maaari, walang TV, computer sa kwarto. And before going to sleep, meditate, relax. Mention 3 things that you are grateful for. And lastly, move, physical activity. Exercise is essential in helping us fight diseases. So according to the American Heart Association, children as well need to move or have physical activity depending on their age group, as well as adults. So adults need 150 minutes of activity per week, or you can do 30 minutes activity per day, or break it down into 10 minutes activity, cumulative of 30 minutes a day. So I hope with this lecture, you learned a lot. And these are my references, so you can purchase the ebooks. Wala akong commission doon. And I'd like to acknowledge Natrapharm for 20 years of friendship. The following residents for the ebooks and the modules that they share with me, and of course, my friend Dr. Berit Bermejo for the chip manual, and my adult neurorotator, Paolo Catanyag, for animating my lecture. And lastly, to my BJHMC family and the PEDIA BTS dance group. Okay? BTS. So, bakit ba tayo sad? Kasi bored na yung iba sa bahay, tired na sa virtual seminars, or dahil physically distant tayo. But my advice, we should be resilient. Let's believe that good things are going to happen. Let's trust God. Let's say our prayers and really surrender everything. So today, let's begin healthy lifestyle. Let's be thankful that we are alive. And I hope you all will stand up and join me because we really don't need permission to dance.